Hello everyone. My name is Peter. Welcome to the true stories being shared here. Please sit back and listen to today's story. My wife's F-35 career choice has become a social event, and it's tearing me apart. We've been married for 10 years, and I don't know what to do next. What's my next step? My wife and I have been married for 10 years, and we genuinely have a great relationship. We have 2 beautiful children, a lovely home, I have my own business, and everything was going great. We have a great sex life and social life outside of family and kids. My wife, after many years of working in various sectors in the industry, got her real estate license about 4 years ago. It was something to keep her busy, fill her time, and bring in some extra income. The company she's worked for over the last 2 or 3 years places a significant emphasis on social events, and it has driven a wedge between us. I've attended 1 or 2 of these events and left them with a bad feeling. I could tell that 9 out of 10 people I met rubbed me the wrong way. Many of them were self-centered, only talking about themselves and their success, and they flirted with my wife incessantly. To be fair, she's extremely attractive but also very approachable and friendly. The most recent events my wife attended resulted in her coming home late and heavily intoxicated. There are 2 things that really bother me about this. I feel like her professional relationships with men in her company have become more social than professional, and these networking events seem like an excuse to hang out with other guys and drink. While many of them are married, I don't trust their intentions. Last week, my wife attended an event, and we agreed that she would be back before midnight. I even tried to hold her accountable and limit her drinks. Well, 2 a.m. passed with no sign of her. She wouldn't answer texts. I could see she was still at the event's location, more than an hour from our home. Finally, after several calls, she answered, and I could tell she was plastered. She told me she was at a hotel with one of them. My girlfriend and I had to remind her that I had to get up at 4:30 a.m. for work. In short, she Ubered to the train, then eventually drove home drunk. As if this wasn't bad enough, I noticed on her phone that she had flirtatious texts with multiple married and single men. I've really had enough of this career choice. She doesn't seem responsible enough to attend these events, and it's causing a significant rift between us. I honestly don't know what my next step is. A similar situation happened a few months ago, and at that time, she promised me she would control herself and be more responsible, but clearly, she can't. TLDR, my wife's job has turned into social events, too much drinking, flirting with other men, and it's straining our relationship. I've expressed my concerns, she apologized, and knows it's wrong, but keeps doing it. Where do I go from here? I want her to quit her job. Update, 11 days later. Hi everyone. I'm sorry, but my last post got deleted. I didn't title it properly. I received many requests for an update on our situation. I also want to thank everyone who gave positive and empathetic feedback on my first post. A lot has happened since my wife's night out. After noticing the flirtatious texts, I asked my wife to show me her phone. I told her I wanted to see what else she'd been writing. She granted me access to her phone, and as I dug deeper, I found that the flirty texts were far beyond anything I expected. The guy she was texting recently broke up with his girlfriend, and my wife's response to him was that things weren't going well in our marriage. I also discovered that while we were on vacation in the area where he lives, she had gone to the gym and met up with this guy there to work out. This news hit me like a ton of bricks. Not only was I disgusted to find out she met him behind my back, but I was also shocked to see she mentioned to him that we were likely heading for a divorce. We had a rough week after that. She was ashamed of her actions. The drinking, the texting with this guy, the meetup. She described feeling like I hated her, which really hurt because I feel like I do everything I can to make her happy. She swears to me that nothing physical happened. After going through the messages, I believe her. It appears she didn't find out about him and his girlfriend breaking up until he texted her after the gym. He even stated in the text that although he was attracted to her, he didn't want to interfere with our marriage, and he didn't want to be a distraction while we worked things out. I have to give him credit for that. I told her that she had to confess if anything physical happened. I'm willing to work through anything, but if I find out later that she lied, she's out of chances. I also discussed the importance of getting tested if anything happened, because of our health and our kids. She was on her period while we were away, so I'm confident that nothing physical happened. She's been adamant that nothing did, but she knows what she did was wrong. She agreed to get tested to give me peace of mind, and everything came back negative. I've had a few sessions with my therapist, and she's recommended a couples therapist for us. She also mentioned that she believes my wife has some deeper issues that she needs to work through. Clearly, her judgment has been flawed, and there may be some reason behind her actions. Since then, my wife has been seeing a therapist on her own, and we've sat with a couples therapist. Our first session with the couples therapist was very educational. She dug into our relationship from the beginning, the main reason we're seeking her help, and laid out a plan for treatment. Next week, we'll begin individual sessions with her, followed by couples sessions. We both know there's a lot of work to be done, but we're committed to doing it. I had a very unstable childhood due to my parents' divorce. When I made those vows to my wife, I fully intended to keep them, and I believe she did too. I feel very confident after speaking with both therapists that couples can heal, move past infidelity, and even come out stronger. I owe it to myself, my wife, and our kids to do everything I can to commit to a happy and healthy relationship. My wife is showing a lot of remorse. She says she doesn't know why she did these things, but she knows it was wrong and wants to stop. She's seeking the help she needs and knows there's a lot of work ahead. She's fully aware of the damage she's caused. She knows I've lost the ability to trust her in social settings, and it's going to take a long time to rebuild that. She's cut off all contact with this guy since then. She's offered to quit her job. I'm not sure if that will help, but I believe she understands what she was seeking from it that she wasn't getting at home. If she can't control herself at these work events, I can't trust her to control herself anywhere. She had plans to attend an annual work retreat, a national meeting later this year, but she's decided to cancel those plans. TLDR, I found more troubling texts from my wife to another man. We've taken steps to heal our marriage. We both have individual therapists and a couples therapist. We both want this to work and are committed to each other and our children. Related comments. Throw RA99. She's doing the right things on paper, but dude, she met another guy with the intention of cheating, and it looks like it didn't happen just because the other guy had a conscience. She lied to him saying, "I'm getting divorced," to get him to sleep with her. Oof. I'd find this hard to get past. Find this guy and buy him a beer. She shouldn't stop working, but maybe she should find a job at a different office to get away from the party culture of her current job. The after-work hangouts and work trips should be on hold until further notice. She broke your trust, and it will take years to fix that. Was there any mention of her attending AI meetings? She shouldn't touch a drop of alcohol either. OOP. Thank you. We're going to dive into the alcohol issue with the therapist. That's something my therapist suggested, but when I brought it up with my wife, she was insulted when I said she had a drinking problem. My therapist said she wasn't ready to hear that from me, and that it needed to be addressed professionally. As I mentioned in my first post, she doesn't drink regularly, and more often than not, she can have 1 or 2 drinks and quit. There's no reason for her to get plastered, and I believe she has an issue, so I'm taking this very seriously. Jinx the chicken. I'm glad you're trying to work this out. The only thing I see as a long-term concern in all of this is that she said in an emotional affair that you two were headed for divorce. That means she was planning for it until she got caught. I hope you can all get through this for the sake of both you and your kids. OOP. Thank you. That is definitely the most devastating part of the whole situation for me. Not that the other things aren't bad, but knowing that she felt so differently about our marriage really breaks my heart. She's told me she doesn't want a divorce. She doesn't know why she said that. The next day, she contacted this guy to tell him she was wrong to say that and that it wasn't true. But we're working hard to make sure we don't head in that direction. Mean Mango. So many marriages break because couples try to stay together for the kids. It doesn't work, man. There are countless examples of this. OOP. And there are those who work hard to make it right and have successful, healthy marriages. What we have is worth fighting for, and if it doesn't work out and if there are other events that affect our marriage, at least I can say I tried, and I can move on. Even if we decided to split right after things like this, how could we have a friendly divorce and a healthy co-parenting situation for our kids? Mean Mango. Lots of parents do. OOP. I think it's more important to try to fix it. You want to be the person who had a successful divorce and a successful marriage. If something else happens, there's nothing more loss than if I walked away right now. My mother became an alcoholic after a failed marriage and a bitter divorce. Her fiancé left her because he didn't want to deal with it, so I had to take on that responsibility at 20 years old. She's sober and healthy now. It makes me uneasy to think about what would have happened if he'd taken steps to stand by her and get her the help she needed. I could walk away from her and say good luck. Hello everyone. My name is Peter. Welcome to the true stories being shared here. Please sit back and listen to today's story. My husband cheated and gave me an STD while I was pregnant. I'm currently 8 weeks pregnant. I recently had a routine pap smear and STD screening. A few days later, I tested positive for gonorrhea. I've never cheated on my husband, and I never imagined that he would cheat on me. When I confronted him about the test results, he seemed genuinely shocked and insisted there must have been a mix-up with the results. He swore he had been faithful and that there was no way this could be true. I insisted that he get tested. He agreed, and after several days, he finally admitted that he had met a woman online and had sex with her. He claimed it was a mistake, and he couldn't explain why he did it. He said that she had come onto him and that it was a one-time thing. I was disgusted and felt utterly betrayed that he had put me in such danger. We had planned this pregnancy, and we had been actively trying to conceive before I got pregnant. Yet, he showed no regard for that. The thought of continuing this pregnancy while dealing with this betrayal is overwhelming. I've been considering an abortion because the idea of bringing a child into this mess seems insane to me. I don't think I can forgive him. The thought of an abortion makes me feel terrible, but I can't see myself continuing this marriage or having a child with him. I nearly lost my mind when I found out he had unsafe sex with a random woman, risking both my life and our unborn child's. I'd rather not delve into what he's been doing online because I know it would only hurt me more. Related comment. Red Mandolin 8. Does an STD pose a risk to the baby's health? I think many of them do. With that in mind, I would terminate the pregnancy unless you're in your late 30s or 40s and really believe this is the only chance you'll have to have a child and it's your biggest dream to the point you do it while single. Definitely end the marriage. He's a slime ball. OOP. It was caught early, and I've been treated. Both I and the baby are safe. Update as of July 30, 2024. I finally decided to uncover the truth about his affair. I found out my husband's email password and discovered that he had been visiting dating sites for months. I also found the name and email address of a woman from hotel bookings he had forwarded to her. I Googled her information, found out where she works, and called her. When she answered, I got scared and hung up, but she called me back, and we talked for a long time. She said she didn't know he was married and kept apologizing. She told me that if my husband and I had been intimate in the past few weeks, I should get tested because he had given her an STD. I was shocked because I thought she had given it to him. She said he had gaslighted her into thinking she got it from someone else. I told her he did the same to me. Why didn't mention that I'm pregnant? She said she had cut off all contact with him and was considering suing him for it. They met on Tinder and had been seeing each other for 6 months. Although I initially thought she should have known he was married, I believe her because my husband doesn't use social media. He has an Instagram account but doesn't post pictures. She confirmed they had sex multiple times, contradicting his claim that it was just a one-time thing. She said they stayed at hotels until she felt comfortable inviting him to her apartment. We concluded that she was just one of many women he had been involved with because he had given both of us the STD. Hearing all this made me sick to my stomach, knowing there were other women. I feel so stupid for not realizing what was happening and probably wouldn't have discovered it if it weren't for the STD test results. My husband doesn't know I've uncovered this or that I've spoken to her. This is extremely difficult. I'm heartbroken and torn about whether to go through with the abortion, but finding this out is pushing me toward that decision. Related opinions. Throw RADL. It's heartbreaking that you have to make this choice. Until recently, you believed your marriage was intact and this pregnancy was something you wanted. But really consider whether you want to be tied to this man for the rest of your life and co-parent with someone so indifferent to your health and well-being. OOP. I wish I didn't have to make this tough decision. I don't want to co-parent with him, but at the same time I feel awful about the idea of having an abortion. My fear is that I might regret it deeply if I can't move past it. It's so frustrating because every choice is heartbreaking. Commenter. How did she not suspect he was married, even if she never went to his house or met any of his important friends or family in 6 months? Remember, the baby is innocent and half of you. OOP. She actually met one of his close friends, who is also married, which means his friend is also cheating. I'm not sure, but if his friend agreed to meet my husband's AP, then I guess he has an AP too. I'm pretty sure his wife, who is also my friend, has no idea about this. Commenter. The most important gift you can give your child is a great father. It seems you're dealing with a terrible narcissist. If you go through with this pregnancy, he'll be in your life forever, playing awful mind games with you and your child. Pregnancy is one of the most vulnerable experiences you'll ever go through. While pregnant, you're at risk of injury or death. Imagine if something happened to you and your newborn was left in the care of this monster, as the only person to care for an innocent life. Be grateful that you have clarity now while there's still time to make a decision and really think about your future. You can't trust anything he says about improving. He's capable of lying and willing to do so without remorse. If he feels bad, it's only because he got caught, not because he cheated. OOP. If I decide to continue this pregnancy, I won't want anything to do with him and will want him out of this experience and the child's life. I know that sounds selfish and might not be possible because he'll make our lives hell. Latest update. I'm almost 10 weeks pregnant. I've scheduled the abortion, and I feel immense guilt about it. My mind keeps changing. Should I have the baby? I'm terrified I'll regret it and feel awful about ending an innocent life. I'm also worried I might never get pregnant again. But then I think, maybe I'm doing the right thing. The thought of having to deal with this man for the next 18 years is overwhelming. We'd still be in each other's lives because we share a child. I'm all over the place, and I'm exhausted from having to make this decision. We haven't spoken in weeks, and he doesn't know I'm planning an abortion. I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing by not telling him about it. I've filed for divorce, and it feels like I'm facing 2 major losses at once. I'm so stressed and don't know how I'm going to survive this. If I go through with the abortion, I can move on with my life in peace, cut all ties. Avoid custody battles. Never have to see or hear from him again. No longer deal with his lies and deceit. If I keep the baby, this list is from someone's comment on my post, thank you. He'll want to be involved throughout the pregnancy. He'll want to make decisions about the child, from names to anything else you can think of. His family and their opinions. He'll want to be there during the delivery. He and his family will try to make the child believe you're the bad guy, and that dad is perfect. He'll be your child's role model. You'll have to ask his permission to make decisions like traveling or where you live. Your child will have a stepmother and possibly siblings who may not treat your child well. Your child will meet many girlfriends. You'll be forced to let him care for the child. He'll have the right to parent in a way completely different from yours, and if he's petty and immature, he might do things opposite to how you'd prefer just to spite you. Deal with his emotional/mental/financial issues. Never know if he's telling the truth or lying about everything. Did he feed the baby? Did he care for their cold the way you told him to? Why is the child hurt? Can you trust him to be honest? Can you trust him to be honest if he makes a mistake that hurts your child, even if being upfront would help the child? Or will he hide it and lie just like he did with his cheating? He'll meddle in your personal life, including when you start dating, entering a relationship, or getting married. I'm his dad, I have a right to know who's going to be around him, and other nonsense like that. You can be sure your romantic life will suffer if he behaves that way. Not many good men want to get involved in situations like this. He'll use the child to manipulate you. Related opinion. Commenter. Every point you made is completely valid. He will use the child against you. He may even think having the baby is the way back to you. You'll need help or feel differently once you have the baby. Anything is possible. OOP. He might try to use the baby as a way to reel me back in, and I'm not sure if I'm strong enough to resist, especially with all the pregnancy hormones. But taking him back isn't an option for me. There's no way we can move on from this. I don't trust him anymore, and what he did to me is unforgivable. Commenter. Think of it this way. The person who was supposed to stand by you and protect you was so selfish that he exposed you and possibly your child to a sexually transmitted disease just to satisfy a fleeting desire. This is who he is. Stuck somewhere. This is the person who would make decisions about raising the baby. OOP. He's not someone I trust to make decisions about raising our child. Update. Yesterday I had the abortion, and I don't know how I feel about it. It was a hard decision, but I believe it was the right one. I couldn't keep the baby under these circumstances. Now I just feel numb. I haven't told him, and we haven't spoken since I left him after discovering he gave me an STD. I know that when he finds out, he'll likely try to paint me as the worst person ever. I'm not sure if he even deserves to know the truth, or should I just tell him I had a miscarriage? Hi everyone, Peter here. Welcome. We share real stories from real people. Let's start with the first story. Am I the asshole for telling my fiancée there will be no wedding if she insists on me inviting my parents? My father abandoned the family and went no contact when I, 35M, was 4. My mother remarried and had 2 kids with my stepfather. My stepfather never treated me badly, but he always made it clear that I was a Dale, not his real name, to him. He wasn't my dad. My mother never tried to mend the relationship and genuinely loved her new family, always seeing me as a burden. That's what I thought, at least until it was confirmed after my freshman year of college when my mother asked me not to come home anymore. I blocked her after that phone call and haven't been in contact with her, my stepfather and half-brother, since then. I still talk to my half-sister, 25F, at her insistence, but that's the only contact I have. It took me a long time to cope with being cast out of the family. I became quite independent and thought I'd live alone until I met my fiancée, 28F, 4 years ago. We've had a wonderful relationship, and her family welcomed me with open arms. She comes from a typical suburban family, and they're great. Over the years, I've shared my issues with my family with her. She's met my sister, and she never asked for more, until we started planning the wedding. When we began discussing who to invite, I talked about my college friends and colleagues, and she kept saying I should invite my parents. At first, I thought she was just testing the waters to see if I wanted to. I told her I wouldn't invite my parents. She said it was okay, but then she brought it up again the next day. I calmly explained how much they had hurt me, how growing up feeling unwanted was, and then having it confirmed at 19 really deteriorated my mental health. That over the years I've realized it's their issue, and if they wanted to resolve it, they could have started, but I've been in contact with my sister, and it's clear they're perfectly happy pretending I don't exist. That sucks, but their problem was they pushed me away. I can't be the one to fix it. I thought it was settled, but she brought it up 2 more times. The last time was last night. We were about to start a date night, and she said, "Are you sure you don't want to invite your parents? I feel like I could reach out to them on your behalf." And I snapped. I told her maybe we should scrap the wedding invitations altogether, because if she can't respect what I've been through, then I don't want to marry her. I then went into our bedroom and fumed for a while. She came in to try to talk to me, and I walked out, grabbed my keys, and left. I came back around 11 p.m. after hanging out with friends and slept on the couch. She went to work without saying a word to me, and I don't know where we stand. Her behavior was unacceptable, but I feel like I may have gone too far. What do you all think? AITA. Related comment. Commenter: she's already contacted your parents. This particular type of forgetting doesn't start with asking for permission, but begging for forgiveness. OP: I don't think so. I have dinner talk to my sister every Thursday night, and she would hint if my mom and Dale wanted to reconcile. They don't. Honestly, they're happier pretending I don't exist. There's no bot consensus on AITA, but most comments are NTA. Update: the next day. I'm overwhelmed by the responses. So many thoughtful replies. Thank you everyone for taking the time to answer. I think I'll give an update. My fiancé usually gets home around 5:30 p.m. So after I finish work, I work from home. I waited for her to show up. I got worried when it was 6 and she wasn't home yet, but around 6:15, she showed up with my sister, which was a big surprise. While my sister and I connect every Thursday, we live 45 minutes apart, so her dropping by isn't usual. They both looked really nervous, so I was confused. I asked what was going on, and my sister just broke down crying and apologized. After about 5 minutes of losing it, she started talking about the family. So, apparently, when she told my mom and Dale that I was engaged, it started a rift between them. Not because they care about me, but because my half-brother, 27, still lives at home, is single, and doesn't have a steady job. If you're thinking, oh, they kicked you out at 19 but let him stay when he can rent a car, don't worry. I've already said that bluntly. My mom apparently wanted to do the same to my half-brother, but Dale wouldn't allow it. So they're currently separated, with my mom living with her family and refusing to come back until my half-brother is out of the house. For some reason, despite all logic and reason, my sister thought being invited to my wedding would bring the family back together. Since it was my engagement that caused the rift. At this point, I blew up a bit. I told her my engagement had nothing to do with that their bad parenting and poor relationship skills caused it, and not to blame me. She cried harder, and this time I didn't comfort her. My fiancé just sat there the entire time, so while my sister was trying to calm down, I asked my fiancé about this. She started to cry a bit too, but told me that my sister had told her about me regularly reminding the family on Thursday, and that deep down, I wanted to reconcile. I asked how she could believe that when I had made it clear I wasn't in contact with my family and never mentioned wanting to reach out. I told her I had told her everything and would never hold back something like this without talking to her. She had always been my sounding board. When I switched jobs last year, we talked about it every night, and her advice mattered more than anyone else's. She apologized and then wanted to show me her phone. Specifically, the messages between her and my sister. At this point, my sister got up and asked her not to show me the conversation on her phone. But my fiancé told her that she was trying to salvage her relationship. My sister had just been lying outright about our Thursday conversations, saying that I always talked about wanting to reconcile. I'd never admit it, but I also bore some guilt, and how I really wanted to see them again. Every time I told my fiancé no, she'd text my sister, and my sister would talk about how I couldn't open up because I was ashamed. Just completely wrong. I'd be entirely happy never seeing any of them again. I can't believe my sister saw these. At this point, I asked my half-sister to leave, and Thursdays were canceled. My sister resisted a bit, but I ignored her until she left. She kept saying sorry over and over again, but honestly, I'm done with her. I've blocked her and won't be contacting her for the time being. A complete emotional betrayal of me and my relationships. As for me and my fiancé, I'm still really upset. She went behind my back with my sister. Never asked me about it. Let my sister manipulate her and honestly hurt me. I told her I love her, but my trust is shattered. We agreed to go to couples therapy and see if we could repair the relationship. I hope we can, but I have to say it's a tough one for me. She has a lot of work to do. Related comment. Commenter, holy shit. Your fiancé was being lied to and manipulated just as much as you were. Don't hold this against her if you don't want to be the asshole. Now is the time to come together because she has seen just how shitty they are. Tell her you love her, forgive her, and never believe anything unless it comes out of your mouth again. But that's up to you if you want to throw away the love of a good woman. OP, this is why we're doing couples therapy, not individual therapy. I don't think I'm innocent here. Update 2, 8 days later. A lot has happened, so I'll try to share it all with you. So, after my sister left, I told my fiancé that I love her, but right now, I don't trust her. That I felt she sided with my sister over me. So I continued sleeping on the couch for a few more nights. She's been walking on eggshells around me, and I hate it, but I'm not ready to forgive her yet. Then on Friday night, after hanging out with friends, I came home and laid out on the couch. We had a bit of small talk, but she asked me to come to bed, and I told her I wasn't ready. I woke up to pee at 3 a.m., and she was sleeping on the floor next to me. I don't know exactly why, but it touched me deeply, and I cried a bit. It meant so much to know she wanted to be close to me, even when I was being unloving. It really turned things around for me. I woke up a few hours later, and she was making breakfast for me. A surprise because Saturdays are usually my big breakfast day. We sat and ate, and she kept the small talk going on eggshells. But I decided to tell her a childhood story of mine. I told her how Dale used to make breakfast for the family, but never for me. I was older. So I slept in, and when I got up, there was rarely any breakfast left, and if there was, it was in the fridge with no one to eat with. I told her how much Saturday breakfast with us means to me and how I never really talked about it, and that wasn't fair to her. She looked at me with tear-filled eyes. She apologized again, but I told her I didn't need it. That I had forgiven her, and while I still wanted to do couples therapy, because I thought it would help me share my family issues with her healthily, I was ready to send out the save the dates. Then I asked her to give me a back massage because the couch is a nightmare to sleep on, and she knew I was serious. I don't like people touching me, except my fiancé, and I hadn't allowed that since the initial incident. I know most of you don't want me to forgive my fiancé, but I love her. And she loves me. She made a big mistake, but she's never gone through anything like what I have. And she shows genuine remorse. As for my sister, my mom reached out through a number I didn't recognize and said I should forgive my sister. I told her to fuck off, and it only confirmed that my sister never really had a relationship with me, because if she knew me, she would know that contacting my mom would only make things worse. I then blocked that number. This happened on Thursday night. She tried to come over on Sunday, but my fiancé and I were out. She left a note apologizing, saying she didn't ask my mom to contact me, and she was sorry for doing so. My fiancé doesn't want anything to do with my sister anymore, but left the decision to me. I told her she's my family, so if she doesn't want her there, she won't be there. Definitely a bit spiteful, but she accepted, and said she didn't want her there. We've gotten back to normal. It will still take time, and I think I might try individual therapy, because when I think about everything that happened, I'm not sure the family situation is worse than I've admitted, and it might be time to really deal with it. The save the dates went out yesterday, and things are moving forward. I'm not sure if I'll update again, but thank you all for letting me process and vent. Related comment. Commenter: I'm curious if you sent a save the date to your sister. Sorry if this was addressed and I missed it. OP, we didn't. We just took her off the list. My side of the aisle will be a bit emptier than my fiancé's, haha. But that's okay. She's the family I want. Commenter: I don't understand if Saturday breakfast was so important as a kid. Why didn't you just get up early and eat with the family? OP, clearly, many of you had great relationships with your parents and or stepparents, and never faced a Dale rolling his eyes, sighing in frustration, and looking at the other siblings while saying something like, "Looks like Dad ruined the kid time," before. I'm glad you didn't have to face that. But I'm too exhausted to explain and rehash painful memories for public entertainment when I came here for advice and to vent. Not for entertainment. This is the update as a thank you. Wish I hadn't done it. Definitely not updating again.